We're about to get ready and start. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jakari Harris, the Executive Director of the George Floyd Memorial Foundation, founded by the sister of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd in Fayetteville, North Carolina, the birthplace of George Floyd. We're here today to share with you the upcoming events that we have for the inaugural remembrance of the life and legacy of George Floyd. Around this time last year, George Floyd was murdered in broad daylight on the ground streets of Minneapolis, Minnesota. The family of George Floyd have endured a lot of pain, hurt, tragedy, but also we've been able to receive some triumph through the settlement, through the court case where Derek Chauvin was convicted on all 3 charges. And now it is time to continue the legacy of George Floyd. It is time to continue the good work. It is time to continue to hold our police officers accountable, our elected officials accountable. It is time to ensure that we bring healing and unity within the community. Beginning on Sunday, we will begin with a rally and march in downtown Minneapolis at the Government Center starting at 4 p.m., where Bridget Floyd and the other family members of the George Floyd family will be in attendance, along with National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton, Attorney Ben Crump. We will have the families of Sabrina Fulton, of Trayvon Martin, Bolton Jean, Dante Wright, and so many other families who are coming to stand in solidarity with the family of George Floyd and so many other families that have not been able to receive justice or accountability in the death of their loved ones. On that Monday, we will begin to have a virtual day of action where everyone, anywhere, can take action virtually, globally, within their own homes, at their office, because we know that taking action is what will lead to change. You can go to George Floyd Memorial Foundation Remembrance website and take action. Additionally, on Tuesday, May 25th, the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's death, we're going to be hosting a celebration of life in downtown Minneapolis at the Commons, where we will have activities for youth and families of all ages, healing projects, art projects, national entertainment by Grammy Award winner Leandria Johnson, local artist performances. We will be supporting our Black-owned businesses and food trucks within the Minneapolis community. We will have guest speakers from the Floyd family, governmental officials, community activists, community organizers, and so many others that is flying down to Minneapolis, that is traveling on buses, that is doing all they can to get to Minneapolis on May 23rd to the 25th, because we know that together we will bring change, and we know that together we can bring unity in the community. In a few moments, I will have Bridget Floyd to speak to you all so we can answer questions and share with you more updates that we have for the inaugural remembrance of George Floyd that will be hosted by the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in Minneapolis, Minnesota, launching on May 23rd and concluding on May 25th. The theme for this year is 1 year, what's changed? When we look back to this past year, we ask ourselves, what has changed? Well, the George Floyd Policing Act has not been signed into law. That has not changed. Well, we look at corporations and see what corporations actually put their money where their mouth is when they released statements last year saying that they will support African-American organizations and ensure there is equality on all levels of spectrum within their corporation. Some corporations have done their part, but many have not. When we look at elected officials, when we look at community development, when we look at so many issues, many things have not changed. That is why Bridget Floyd started the George Floyd Memorial Foundation, because we will be the change that we wish to see. It starts with ourselves, and we will ensure that it is embedded in every single individual, every single company, every single government official that we meet. Now I will have Bridget Floyd to speak and express how she is feeling that we are embarking on the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd. Bridget?
Thank you, Jakari. Thank you, Jakari. That was a wonderful, wonderful open up for everyone to know what exactly is going on this coming week for my brother's 1-year anniversary. Thank you all for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure to be here. It's getting real close to the day, and I feel like it is as close as the days come. I get a little stronger than I was last year, and that's because I have been through so much in this last year. I have no choice but to be strong and carry this weight and carry this position that God has put me in, because I didn't see it coming. None of us did. We will celebrate my brother's life in a very, very special way. Everything that he wanted to do, he did. He got a chance to do. We will try our best to repeat those things in the community this upcoming weekend. It just has happened so fast. A year has came around just that fast. And we really thought that my brother's death would be the last police brutality case. But as we all can see, they are at it again and again and again. But with the passing of this George Floyd bill that I know the president will sign, we don't know when, but I have a good feeling about this bill being passed that will protect these families from hurting and weeping, because these police officers need to be held accountable for their actions. That really needs to happen, so they can know that when they break the law, when they take a loved one from someone, they'll think twice about it. Right now, everybody is getting away with it here and there, and they're not taking it seriously. We're like deers that they're hunting after in the woods when they see us. We are human beings. We bleed the same way they bleed. The same breath God put in our body, he puts in their body. So there's no reason why this should still be happening and nothing is being done about it. But once again, my brother striked a change in this world. And I will continue to be the change, be the voice, and be his legacy. I will hand it back over to Jakari at this time.
Thank you, Bridget. As I mentioned earlier, you all, we have 3 days of events coming up leading to the inaugural remembrance of George Floyd. Kicking off on Sunday, May 23rd, at the Government Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, we're having the rally starting at 4:00 p.m. Central Time. Following the rally, we have a march. We're marching with thousands and thousands of people in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and across this country. On Monday, May 24th, the eve of the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's death, we're having the virtual day of action where anyone, anywhere can take action. We're asking everyone to donate to the George Floyd Memorial Foundation. We're asking everyone through this virtual day of action to call your senators to help pass the George Floyd Policing Act, to call your House representatives, to call your mayor, so you can know who your elected officials are. There are so many components within this virtual day of action that no one should have an excuse to why they can't take action. We saw the lynching of George Floyd last year. Most recently, the case in North Carolina. Then you have Breonna Taylor, you have Dante Wright. You have so many lives taken at the hands of police. On yesterday, I seen a report where over 180 Black lives were killed by law enforcement since the death of George Floyd. We don't know their future, just as we don't know George Floyd's future because they are no longer with us. But we can create a future that we can ensure that we hold our officers accountable, that we hold our elected officials accountable, and that we ensure that we bring unity in the community. That's why I'm so grateful to be a part of this team with Bridget Floyd, with her pain, with her tragedy, with her family, with the community. We're bringing about a new day for everyone. Now we will proceed with questions. I ask everyone to please be kind and respectful with your questions, and please do not speak over any other reporter.
Shikari, let's make sure they're unmuted if they were muted.
Give me 1 second. All right. We can have your first question.
Bridget, I'm Callan Gray. I'm a reporter with KSTP here in the Twin Cities. I want to ask you, as people are gathering at 38th in Chicago, what do you hope they're reflecting upon?
So before Bridget answers that question, I want to be very clear. The remembrance events for the George Floyd Memorial Foundation is going to be held at the Commons Park in downtown Minneapolis, and the other organizations within Minneapolis community, will be spread out.
I just know there's going to be people going to George Floyd Square to remember him, so that's the basis of my question.
Okay. Well, while they are visiting the place where my brother took his last breath, I hope that they are realizing that that would be a special place forever. Not only did my brother take his last breath there, I actually heard that another death had taken place a few feet away from him. And it's just really, really sad that people have to visit a street and see murals and flowers and cars and art and things like that to really kind of get to see how much a person was loved, because he should still be here. He should still be here. They should be able to see him, walk with him, talk with him, but instead they have to visit a street just to see the love everybody is showing him.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Charlotte Tantive. I work for AFP News Agency. Thank you for making this call. I have a question for Bridget. Your family has been very visible, obviously, the whole year, and you seem to be taking this role very seriously. I would like to know how you define your role. What are you in terms of, like, what is the Floyd family in terms of symbol? Are you ambassadors? Are you organizers? What are you?
You want to know our role?
Yes, please.
I really don't have a role besides being the president of the George Floyd Memorial Foundation that I started in remembrance of my brother. Like I said, this just fell in my lap. I had to take on and be his voice because he's no longer here. So I wouldn't really say that I have a role to play because this comes from my heart, deep down inside my heart, because I know for a fact my brother would do it for me if it was the other way around. So I don't consider myself a activist or anything like that. I'm just his little sister here speaking for him because he's no longer here.
But we see your family supporting other families, sending letters to the UN. You are using your name that is unfortunately known now. What do you want?
What do we want? We want unity in the community, as Jakari spoke earlier. We want the world to see how us families are hurting because the police has took a loved one from us. So we feel each other's pain. We feel each other's struggles with this. So we come together and we stand in unity so the world can see how much this has affected us.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, Bridget. Brittany Ford with KHAU 11 in Houston. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us on such an emotional, I know, time for you. I have two questions, and Jakari, it may be one for you as well. I'm not sure, but I'll start with Bridget. Bridget, I just admire your strength. Just speaking so much in strength on, I know what has been going to mark a very emotional day for you, a very emotional day for the nation. Talk to me about what has given you that strength and what's keeping you going. What's kind of, you spoke a little bit about it, but just how are you handling those emotions and those waves of emotions?
Thank you for asking. I always put God first in everything that I do. Without him, I am nothing. God gives me this strength to carry. He put me in this position. And oftentimes I want to ask him, why me? But they say you're never supposed to question God. So maybe he's seen a weakness in me and he made it my strength. That's how I see it. So I continue day to day fighting, being this voice for my brother, because as I said earlier, I know for a fact he would do it for his little sister. And I think about that over and over and over in my mind. I think about how I have young Black kids and how I do not want them to end up being one of these victims. I don't want the police to one day bully them and they don't know how to handle the situation. So I talk to them and they see that I get out here and I put my boots on and I go and do what I have to do so the world can hear me, so the world can hear what Derek did to my brother, what he took from us. And so by me looking at my kids every day, being Black kids, I have no choice but to continue this fight.
Thank you so much. And are y'all, I know we are, and excuse me if this has been sent out otherwise, are y'all planning anything here in Houston for the coming week as far as the foundation goes, or most of those are going to be based in Minneapolis?
So the George Floyd Memorial Foundation, we're going to be basing the events in Minneapolis, but as we do know, there is family, there is friends, also in Houston, where he spent some of his time at as well. So we know that there's going to be events for George Floyd in probably every single state of the country. Next question, please.
Nothing specifically from y'all, just to get this clarification.
From the George Floyd Memorial Foundation, no. Thank you. Next question, please. Next question, please.
Hello, this is John Croman from CARE TV in Minneapolis. Thank you very much for speaking to us today, and to Bridget, I'm very sorry for your loss. What would you say to those out there who are still, wrestling with this whole idea of police reform? What would you say to get, maybe white people out there to understand just the trauma that is being inflicted on people in the community?
Well, the first thing they should do is wake up and look at reality.
A little broken up.
My question, ma'am, was what would you say to people who are out there maybe who just aren't aware of, don't have empathy for what's happening in the community and kind of the trauma that people are experiencing from law enforcement at times?
I think Bridget is losing connection, but until she comes back, what I will say is that these individuals need to wake up. I mean, this is plain and clear. This is not rocket science.
The signal is very bad.
Jakari, you just finish answering the question and we'll wrap this up.
Okay, thank you. This is not rocket science. If their loved ones, their family, if their children, if their husband, whomever, were killed due to police brutality, I can rest assured that they would be fighting and advocating as well, because it's senseless violence.
Thank you, Jakari.
We'll take one more question.